Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. I'm here with a layout process video for you as part of the Scrap Happy membership group where we are participating in our Layout a Day project, also called Load. We take inspiration prompts and make layouts, and today the prompt for me was Whitney Houston, and we are going to tell about something we love, and then we're going to add texture to connect with the feeling of our layouts. So let's dive in. All right, I'm going to tell another cat story. You'll be seeing a few of these around here since we got kittens back in August. We have one old man cat who is 14, and the kittens are now 5 months old. And I love them. We're having some challenges, mostly with the old man cat, but the kittens are going through their spays and neuters and having a lot of medical stuff that needs to go on. But we'll get past that, and we'll get everything to calm down around here. But I still love them. They're very snuggly. At any rate, you saw me pull out a few products, and we'll talk a little bit more about those as we go. But the star of this layout is going to be some stenciling, and specifically this phrase stencil that I just got in a Crop and Create delivered event package. Now, right now, I don't think this product has been released to the public. It might still be an exclusive for our event box. I will pop that up on the screen if that has changed since we had this event. It may have gone public already, so I will let you know. At any rate, this is a very fun layering stencil that creates fun phrases. Now here I am prepping these stencils because during the event I didn't get a lot done. I mostly watched a lot of things. I did use this stencil during the event, but I was too busy and I've got a shoulder injury, so I wasn't able to sit and craft really as much. So I was just doing quickie things here and there. At any rate, I'm really going to play with this stencil today and get it prepped and for a long-term use. These layering stencils have little registration squares in them, and you can mark these registration squares any way you want. I like to outline them with a pen, although if you're doing this on a background or something, you can use pencil and then erase that later. And then you get to inking. So I've got layer 1 down, and it can be a little tricky, even with those registration marks, to get the next layer right in place, especially when you're working on words that all of the parts and pieces of these letters need to line up. And you'll see I get one layer a little bit crooked. I'm going to work on some tips and tricks to see if I can make this work out a little bit better in the future, but I still loved it anyway, and I'm really excited about using this stencil more often. And you can see I've gone through 3 layers of color, and here is the 4th and final layer of color. And look at those words. I'm not usually a bold and bright person, but I'm really liking this color combo right now. So I'm just going to use the word hooray. I will save everything else for something else down the road. And this does come with a matching die set. So it doesn't come with it, but it has available a matching die set. And so I've got that. And I went ahead and die cut out my word. And now we can get back to the base of this layout. And the story is basically a whole trifecta of coffee, cats, and crafting. In the photo, I was watching some crafty videos. So that is going to wrap up into my title of my little trifecta of things that I love. And I am trying to create these papers to be borders around my photo and leave enough space in the middle because I'm going to do more stenciling. So you can see me here resizing things by tearing them down. The cat paper wasn't actually wide enough to go across 12 by 12, so I just glued parts together, and I'm trimming down more of that background paper. That was a Simple Stories pattern paper from their Crafty collection, and I just used one strip of those row of icons, so I'm getting the feeling of the crafting in there without having to use the entirety of that piece of pattern paper, which can be a little challenging because it is rather full of icons and such. What else have I got going on? Oh yes, after I get all of that stuff sized down, I am going to get started on kind of my focal grounding stenciling for this photo. Now this stencil is meant to go over an entire card front, but because I'm doing it on a scrapbook layout, I do have to be careful to mask it off so I'm not getting smudgy ink everywhere. And then it's just, again, a matter of laying up our inks. I am checking where the photo is going to cover so I don't waste time inking up the areas that are going to be covered up anyway. And then I took my photo I took the stencil completely off and wiped it down. And I realized later that I don't have to do that, because what I'm going to do is line up that stencil with the stenciling, and then I'm going to very gently rotate it. And I'm checking kind of all around to make sure that it's still kind of anchored to the basis of that first stencil, so that I'm going to get these gradients of rays coming out of this stencil. And here's where I realized I can wipe the stencil off while it is still in place, and I don't even have to move it. In fact, it's better not to move it, because that makes it even easier to just rotate it for the next color. And here you can see, with all those rotations done, I've got this burst of joy on my layout, and that is where exactly my photo will sit and be grounded by all of that. That's my little tip where I save a lot of my tape. There's my other cat, Jamie. He's the old man, and he is rather grumpy, and I'm grumpy at him for being grumpy at the cats. And I'm really hoping we'll get through all of that. But despite the challenges, I still love these guys. All right, I am ready to work on this title. I'm going to use that nice bold title to cover up the ugly laundry basket in the background of my photo. And then I'm going to finish off my title with a more calm font in a calm color to help bring the tone, ground the tone back down. Because like I said, these bold, bright colors are not typically my thing. But if I can get them to sit very easily with some solid grounding, then I can make it work. All right, so I am trying to make sure things are a little bit straight, and as I started working on this, things were getting a little wonky, so I did have to pull out the T-square ruler and really get a little fussy with those things. And now I'm going to add more texture to this layout. So that was our technique prompt. So I added texture with tearing the papers and kind of ruffling it up. I'm kind of adding the visual texture with the bursts of color, popping up my title on foam dots. We will do a little bit more texture later, but I am going to do this stamping with heat embossing. And here's how I'm going to do it. First, I line up my stamp, I put embossing ink, and then I put regular dye ink behind that. And that will turn any dye ink pad into an embossing ink pad. And you can emboss in any color that you have in your supply. I needed a second stamp, so I'm very glad I put that on my stamp alignment tool. And then I can go ahead and add my clear embossing powder and heat that up and get a shiny little sheen on my playful little kittens. And that is a much older Hero Art stamp that I don't believe is available anymore, but it is sweet, and I've had that set for a long time. It's actually a Halloween set, but I use it for everyday cat posts. And then I added a few a few squeeze dots of that stickle product on the stenciled dots to add even more texture. And there's a bit of a close-up of that. And this was a very fun layout to create, and I'm very happy to have had this prompt to go for it. All right, that is it from me. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you want to know more about this crazy layout a day project and you don't already know, I will leave you links to our Scrap Happy membership group. You don't have to be a member for the next upcoming Load project, which is in February. You could buy that as a standalone class. So all the links are below. Until I talk to you next time, I hope you have an artful day.